Hey everybody, it's Bree here from the Sewing House, and I have been working on putting the Exploding Hearts quilt together. So I think we're up to week 4 of our sew along here. So by now we should have all of the blocks pieced and trimmed down to 4.5 inches, and it's just time to start laying it out. I'm going to talk a little bit about a few things that I found that made this a lot easier as I was going along. Uh, so the layout to start out with is on pages 8 and 9 of your instructions, and they've got this little chart. It goes row by row of what block number or block letters you need to lay it out, and just make sure your triangles are oriented in the way it is in the picture, and you're set to go. Something that is making this a whole lot easier is this gray grid that I have back here behind the quilt. This is called Creative Grid Fabric. It's from Free Spirit, and it is a flannel that has the grids on there that makes it really, really easy to lay out your quilt, get it all lined up just right, and really step back and see what it looks like without having to crawl around on the floor or any of that. We do have it available at the Sewing House. It makes things so much easier for laying out any quilting project, but this sort of thing in particular. So you can make sure that you don't have like clumps of one color if you don't want them in a certain spot. It's a great way to be able to do something like this. Uh, Another thing that made this a little bit easier is I decided to break it up into 3 rows of 3. So it's 18 blocks by 18 blocks. So I figured just having chunks of 6 by 6 blocks would be a lot easier to handle than trying to make whole entire rows and then trying to press it and then get all of those rows together. So instead, I'm doing it in chunks. So you can see right here, I've got one chunk already together. That is the 6 blocks by 6 blocks. And then this one I am working on as well. And the way that I like to put all of these pieces together is I like to chain piece them. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that as well. So here you can see I've got 5 vertical rows or columns together. I'm ready to add my 6th one. So these are stitched here. Like this one is stitched to this one is stitched to this one, but they are not stitched this way. However, when I stitched these together, for example, when I was adding this block onto what I already had stitched, I stitched that seam, and then before I cut the thread, I didn't cut the thread. I just went ahead and I put my next set of blocks in there, and I just kept going. And then when I got all the way to the bottom, I did not clip those threads. That part was really important because that keeps everything in order for you. So you don't have to remember which row was which and which way is right side up with that row. If you just leave those threads in between everything, as long as you're stitching your rows in order, it keeps everything in order and it makes things so much easier. So for example, to add that last set of blocks to the edge of this one, what I would do is at this point, I know this is the top of my section. If you were starting at the very beginning, you might put a pin at the very top of that block so that you know which way's up. But in this case, I'm going to say, okay, I know I'm going to be starting at the top. So come over here to my blocks, and I will just, starting from the bottom, I stack them up. And I just make sure that they stay oriented the way they were on the wall. Okay, so if I am getting these ready, if I'm not going to just go straight over to the machine and sew it, I might put a pin up here so that I know this is the top. But otherwise, I'm ready to go. I know this is the top. This is the side that's getting stitched onto my existing section of blocks. And I can put that on. Then I can go ahead and press all these rows across, so I can press these seams going this way, these seams going this way. It's just a lot easier to handle when you only have 6 across instead of 18. And then I'm ready to stitch them this direction. For example, I've got this one all done. I've got my six blocks across. I have 6 up and down. So now, because I didn't clip those threads while I was chain piecing, I can just take this to my machine, flip it down, stitch that seam, then I can stitch the the next seam and the next one and the next one, but it's already in order, so I don't have to worry about accidentally doing a row upside down because it's already set up exactly the way that I want it to be. It makes things like this go so much easier, so much faster. There's a lot less of that headache of trying to remember which way was up or what did I put where and which row am I actually on. If you get it laid out first and then you chain piece sections together like this, makes this a breeze. So yeah, there you go. I hope you're having a lot of fun with our quilt along. I'm really excited to see everyone's quilts and how everyone's color choices come together because there's so many options with this quilt. It doesn't have to just be Valentine's. You could do a blue one for the Memphis Grizz or another sports team, or if you just happen to like the color orange, by all means, do an orange one. Go for it. I'm really excited to see how they're turning out, and I look forward to seeing what your next projects are going to be.